Welcome back to the Organic Chemistry Reaction App Devlog, Dark Mode Edition. So, like I said, I was going to work on dark mode, and I've got something that I think works. So I'm just going to show it off a little bit here and talk about its development. So dark mode can be accessed in the options menu, where you can just hit light mode or dark mode, and you can see it switches automatically. So yeah, you can just go there and get to dark mode. Great. I don't exactly know what a perfect dark mode aesthetic looks like, so the background isn't completely black and the text isn't completely white. It's more of like a dark gray, light gray type situation, and I think it looks fine. I'm not sure what looks good, what looks bad. I'm not an artistic person, so I don't really care, but it is a lot more pleasing to the eyes than, you know, the black on white background. You're not going to be blinded by it. But yeah, if we just go into random puzzle, then we can see things look like a dark mode version of what you would expect. The exception would be in the info screen. So I didn't change the background for this, and I didn't change that the molecules here are in their light mode skin. I went with this beige/yellowish background to be kind of reminiscent of like a sticky note. So that's the aesthetic choice that I went with, and I don't feel like trying to customize that or make it something that works for dark mode. Because it's not white, I don't think it hurts the eyes to open at all. So, or maybe it doesn't hurt the eyes as much. So it should be fine for somebody who's running dark mode. I think it still works. And I'm just not going to change that. But yeah, the dark mode mostly works. You can see a small bug here that's actually broken in this build, but not in my current build, where the negative mode thing did not, or not the negative mode, the dark mode skin didn't apply to the negative charge sprite. So there's a small bug there. But the reason why I'm running this old build is to talk about how the development went. So I made everything, and it worked pretty smoothly. Like I said before, I'm always amazed at how easy it is for me to implement systems, because I think my code is kind of trash. But every time I go in to implement a new system, it's almost like I was preparing for that already, which I kind of was trying to, but because this is, you know, the first app that I've ever made, you'd expect me to not be good at that. But it's working out, and I understand my code, and it feels good. The problem, though, was that when I run it on a computer, it loads quickly, but I think that's just because I'm running it through Construct directly, and therefore it sort of runs better directly in the game engine. But when I switched to my phone, the loading of the puzzles was relatively slow. And of course my phone is a slow phone, but it was far too slow. It was very noticeable and not fun to wait for. And this wasn't just a change that automatically flipped when dark mode was on. Loading was kind of slow already. It's just that it was slow, but not unacceptably slow. And then dark mode pushed it over the edge to being unacceptable. And the reason for that is basically because of a bunch of waits that I put in. So wait, W-A-I-T, wait function is basically just something you can insert that causes the code to execute and then wait a little bit. The way Construct works is it runs all of your functions on the same cycle, or as many functions as it can at the same cycle, and then after that cycle is done, then it runs the next cycles. And that is fine, of course, but if you're trying to run two functions at the same time, and one of them is relying on the previous one to be finished for it to work properly, if they're running on the same cycle, then the first one is not finished yet, so the second one just doesn't work properly. And of course, the good way of fixing that is to just ensure that that second function doesn't run it doesn't run on the same cycle. It runs after the first function is done. But the way that I was fixing it was by just inserting a little wait function into that second function, so that it would, as soon as it's called, it would just wait a cycle. And that causes it to get pushed back a cycle, so that the first function would be done and then the second function would go. But that slows everything down, because now you're just artificially inserting cycle weighting. And you can see here I made a variable weight count. And so to load this screen, there was 187 weight cycles. So I don't exactly know how long a cycle is, but if we assume it's one frame, or 1/60th of a second at 60 FPS, then this would be 3 seconds. I don't think it's 3 seconds. I think it's faster than that, but it's 187. That's sort of 187 unnecessary cycles would be another name for this variable, and I have that set to reset. So 136, and depending on what puzzle you get, the more complicated ones, I've had weight cycles get up to like 300 weights, and so that's just has to do with my sloppy programming before, and I couldn't release the game in this state because that would just be unacceptably slow. So here's this one. This is a relatively complicated puzzle in terms of the number of sprites, right? But 364 weight cycles to get this. And so it works fine in construct because I think the cycles happen relatively quick here. But if you're running it on your phone, which is not, this is running the built-in engine. And so everything is easily accessible, and therefore cycles are fast. On your phone, this would probably take a little bit longer. Faster than my phone, but still unacceptably so. So I had to basically rework everything, and I did. So we'll go back into that right now. Let me just load that. All right, so here we are in the new version, and just like before, you go to the option menu and you just hit dark mode or light mode, and you can set your mode, and then you just do a random puzzle. But this time everything is built properly, I would say. Basically, I had to go in and rewrite how all of the puzzle drawing works. Not exactly rewrite, but reorganize everything and make it make a little bit more sense. And it makes a lot more sense now. And if I scroll down, I still have the weight count variable, but you can see now there are 2 weight counts. So that's, I don't even know how many fold increase. This is 1% approximately of what it was before. And so everything should just load a lot faster because the drawing is better. And you can see on this build, I've also continued on and made sure that the negative charge works properly. The puzzle info still shows up properly. While I was going through and reworking all of this code, though, I came across some other bugs. There were slight, miscalculations in terms of how molecules were being placed on the screen. And so because I had to rework the move molecules function, the way it works is the game will draw the molecules wherever, and then after it's drawn the molecules, it will move them to where they're supposed to be on the screen based on how big each molecule is, so that you can kind of optimize your screen space. And so the move molecule function, there were some slight miscalculations or errors in miscalculations or whatever. So I took the chance, since I had to move everything around anyway, I took the opportunity to rework how that is. And so I think this should work slightly better than before as well. And it was the same for the puzzle info section, where these molecules, and I think the reactant and the goal molecules especially, were what's the word? They were really poorly implemented, and I made a lot of miscalculations there. But now I think it's better. I'm not going to release this yet because it's a big change, and there's probably some graphical glitch somewhere that's screwing everything up. And not everything, maybe everything, I don't know. But I just need to make sure that puzzles are still looking as you would expect it. Things like that, because there's a lot of stuff that I might have missed. What is the answer to this puzzle? This goes there. This goes there. And then this goes there. and that goes there, and that goes there. Oh, look at that. I figured it out. Okay, anyway. But yeah, dark mode, it's coming along, and it looks fine. So hopefully I can release this soon. Like I said, I'm just gonna do some testing, make sure I didn't miss something too obvious, too egregious. And yeah, we'll go from there, make some new puzzles. So once again, thanks for hanging out. Dark mode soon, and then we carry on with the project. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.